This here is gonna be the last time that I'm gonna be reviewing the Carmelo Anthony case. Cause at this point, I'm sick of the lying. I'm sick of the race baiting. I'm sick of the race baiting. I'm sick of people putting out bullshit narratives instead of facts. At this point, I'm just like fuck it. At this point, but anyways, sorry about that. But I had to get that off my chest. Let's go into what the Kitcher has here.
Isn't that a very interesting choice of words? I sympathize with the Metcalfs for everything that they have been through. Huh. Well, the
By his
Karmelo
ass
Anthony
judge.
family, I guess they're just a bunch of animals, right? Because they didn't go through nothing, right? In fact, Carmelo's father and mother actually had nothing to do with this. They're just helping their son.
And I'm gonna say this loud and clear. Judge Cockroach, you a grade A piece of shit.
As any parent would do. He said, I sympathize. I don't know the Metcalfs, but I sympathize with them. He said enough right there. You shouldn't be
Said too damn
sympathizing with
much.
anybody. You are a judge. You
You're,
are
so,
supposed to remain a judge
you're
and
supposed to
not be
be
connected
impartial.
via
You
personal, emotional
motherfucker.
feelings at all. I sympathize with the Metcalfs for all that they have been through. Very interesting choice of words.
And these AI images emerging of you and them at a party or drinking together, all of that.
And that's the problem with social media, isn't it? You can't tell what's true.
Blah, 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 blah,
I will
blah.
tell you, I got some reports of some things that were coming out of this courtroom, and I wondered to myself, were they even in the same courtroom that I was? It's that bad, and I think that's tragic, because I think really if you just listen.
So now he's saying the things that he...
Damn, that was loud.
So now he's saying the things that he saw on social media, he didn't understand what...
Superior power and runtime are just a click away.
Come
Ryobi,
on.
the #1 cordless outdoor power brand.
Those things never happened. Huh? Are you joking? No.
Hello.
Those things did happen. Individuals, reporters reported that they were being harassed.
Yep.
They were being attacked. These people were not, they didn't even know each other. So how significant is it that these individuals would say that these things were happening to them?
Brother, read the title, okay? I don't have time for foolishness.
And it wasn't happening at all. So, what kind of judge discounts the experience of a person? Is it because they were black? Because for you to say those individuals did not experience what they said they experienced makes me look at you side-eye. That's would be like if somebody told you they had an issue and then you told them that they didn't have an issue. Who are you to tell someone
I ain't got time for bullshit today. Get the fuck out of my chat.
What they did experience?
Get the fuck out.
I think it's because he didn't want to own what they were doing. I mean, it's clear. Now, we know on social media everything we see is not true, but these people experiences, I do believe. I did a video earlier in which I talked about that racist guy. I think his name was Jake Lang, I think is his name. This guy was arrested. That was real. Like, so when he says he didn't understand what people were talking about, were they at the same court? What are you talking about? These are real issues that actually
Very
took
much
place.
real issues.
To the case based upon the facts, you'd understand it so much better.
Do you think it reinforced your decision to not have cameras or streaming inside this?
Sort of. I will tell you this, sometimes I think maybe I should have at least the audio streamed or something so people could hear it. But at the end of the day, I don't think, no matter what, people are going to distort whatever happens or whatever they hear into their own agenda. And so what's the point? And again, that noise affects people, affects the fairness of the trial, the safety of the witnesses, the safety of the jury. And those are my primary concerns, not what social media says. It's not my duty. I don't think it's my job to feed social media or the media stuff. I certainly understand the role that media plays in a case like this, but I'm not here to feed it. And I took that very, very seriously.
But Judge, when people don't have access to the trial or the courtroom, doesn't it invite speculation?
Sort of.
Isn't that what I just said? When people don't have access to the information,
they're gonna
speculate. Ask for speculation because we do not trust what we cannot see.
Exactly.
So this guy making this bold statement saying, "Oh, I decided to keep the cameras out of the, proceeding because I just wanted this, everybody to get a fair chance." It's the biggest crock of shit that you ever heard. Now I understand that there are minors, but guys, have you not saw trials on court where they do not put the camera on the person that's testifying? They put people on the stand. They will turn either the volume down or, once they say the person's name, you're not able to hear it. This man is full of shit. He's full of it.
Hell yeah, he's full of it.
But I got 70
Wine
seats
ass bastard.
And I had 200 requests by the media to sit in the courtroom. So let's say if I just entertain the press, and I have nobody from the public watching what's going on in their county. And so I had to do a balance between the media's right to know and to be able to report what's going on, because I think that's extraordinarily important. I think it's important that the general public had access to the courtroom and to see what was going on. So I tried to balance all those things with the primary, again, purpose of having a fair trial, and I think I struck that balance pretty well.
The media's right to know is the public's right to know. Is the public's access. We are the extension of that public.
I think somebody from the public who will wanted to come watch a trial and know that they were excluded from the trial because all the media was there, I beg to differ.
Do you think there was...
This guy seems like, he either can't articulate or he doesn't want to articulate. You wouldn't have so many people that were trying to get in there and watch the trial if you had allowed cameras in there. I mean, what part of this does he not understand? The people lined up because they were not able to see the trial.
Exactly.
The possibility for a learning experience. I mean, people do not know about how trial works. Do you think that this may have been an opportunity for people to know how it truly works, and that kind of erases some of the negative notions of court and trial?
I'm doing this interview with you to make sure that people understand how the system works, and if they really wanted to, and I mean this seriously, if they wanted to, they could have stood in line with everybody else and had the 27 to 32.
Sir, you are a dickhead. Excuse my language. But you are a dickhead.
The public seats that we had in this courtroom.
If the people really wanted to watch the trial, they could have stood in line like everybody else. Oh, that's not necessarily true, because some people don't have the liberty to just jump on a plane, get a hotel, come out at 6 o'clock, wait in the line, and he's being disingenuous because everybody didn't get in the courtroom. So y'all see, this is great for Karmelo's appeal, because it's really going into who this guy really is. He is not taking accountability for his decision as the courtroom judge to not allow the media into the courtroom. And he's jucking and shiving, dodging bullets, making up every excuse, but it just doesn't make any sense because everybody cannot show up in Collin County, racist as Texas, to get in a
Right.
building. If even if they all stood in the line, they wouldn't get in because there's a limitation to how many people would actually be able to get a
Right.
seat. But for some reason, he doesn't seem to articulate that.
He doesn't care to
But we rotated
articulate
every
that.
day. So was that important to them? They could have made it in here.
How did you plan for some of the outside meetings?
Well, we've certainly planned with the sheriff's office and the McKinney Police Department and the Allen Police Department, the Frisco Police Department. So those were talks that we're having 8 months before the trial to ensure the safety of the people out in the parking lots. They certainly had a right to demonstrate and all.
Wait a minute, you want to talk about safety out in the parking lot? Judge Roach. You want to talk about safety out in the parking lot? Here's my question to you. Was Neek at night safe in your parking lot? The answer is no. Because if Neek at night was safe, the Texas branch of the Black Panther Party would have never had the need to show the fuck up. So miss me with your bullshit.
And I think we struck a very, very good balance, allowed them to do that. At the same time, maintaining safety of everybody involved.
Did it affect your data?
Maintaining safety of everybody involved. I don't know if you guys have any free time. Go Google Jake Lang arrested in Collin County for terroristic threats. So I don't know what he means. Safety for, oh, okay, I get it. Safety for the white people involved.
Yeah, exactly. Safety for the
We saw
white
videos
folks,
of bloggers in
not
their
safety for the
cars
black
crying,
folks.
saying that they tried and that these people did not seem to care about their safety. So I'm a little bit confused. Well, no, I'm not confused, but this is actually letting us know, well, confirming what we already knew about this judge. This judge didn't give a damn about Karmelo Anthony or his family. We ain't stupid. We wasn't born yesterday. We have dealt with racist people our entire life. And most of them, they don't tell you that they're racist. They show you that they're racist based on how they treat you. This man is full of bullshit. Straight up bullshit.
Yep.
Actually, I didn't. I came in from a different entrance from the courthouse. I didn't come in through the front. I couldn't hear any noise at all from my office. The jurors were not facing the parking lot, so they didn't see. Some words they don't have to say.
Come on.
Concentrate
There
just
we
on what
go.
was going on in this courtroom, which was my instruction from the very, very beginning.
What made this trial different?
I think it started off bad. And it started off bad with the doxing and the swatting of the judge and the
Which
parties, witnesses,
which
and all that stuff. So I think it
continued.
started off bad, and I'm going to attribute that to social media.
But the doxing and the swatting came from the Metcalf family, allegedly the one that you felt so much compassion for. Like, what the hell is this idiot? You know, he looks like a missing member of the LGBTQ community. I'm just wondering, when is he gonna come out? Because this man is full of bullshit. Like, he is full of so much bullshit that he's starting to get on my nerves. Like, seriously.
I think social media got it wrong. And
Dude, you're an
it is what it is.
asshole.
I think that's something we have to live with these days. But I think it's my responsibility and other judges' responsibility to make sure, no matter what's going on social media, that someone can walk in the courthouse and get a fair trial.
Somebody can walk in the courthouse and get a fair
Bitch,
trial.
what?
You piece of shit.
The fuck this
What fair
goofy
trial?
bastard talking
What
about?
fair trial?
There was
Because
no
let's just
fair
call it what it
trial.
is. I'm sick
You
of
dumb
you
son of
people
a
saying this
bitch.
ain't about, this wasn't about race. You right, it wasn't about race. It was all about race. This was all about race. Nothing else. What other reason would
Number one, this whole thing did become about race. But here's the thing. It was the white people in the media. And when I say media, there's different media. There's legacy media, there's black media, and then there's independent media. All parts of media made it about race. So let's tell the truth on that. And then there was the local politicians that made it about race as well.
A 18-year-old, and can somebody tell me why they keep reporting his age at 19? He was 17 when it happened last year. How could he be 19? Why are they reporting incorrect information all and through the media? He keeps talking about witness information being leaked. That was a form of intimidation. Who do you think did it? Who do you think leaked the witnesses' information? Who did that? This was all about race. This was all about a black kid with two good parents that loved him, showed him love. He knew how to conduct himself. He wasn't whooping on his daddy ass. He wasn't whooping on his mama ass. He didn't have a record of being kicked out of school. But for some reason, I believe that one of the reasons why this trial was not on TV is because there were so many things that he did not want the public to know. Hence, they stated that these guys' records, that allegedly he did not let it be entered in. Imagine the jury not knowing that these boys are, what did they say, trained jiu-jitsu? I don't even know what jiu-jitsu is, but isn't that like a trained fighter or something like that? None of that information came into the jury. None of it.
Did it make it very different when you realize a lot of your witnesses are young witnesses?
No, look, I've been doing this for 20 years. A lot of the witnesses come in all shapes and sizes and colors and all that. And so that was normal for me. What wasn't normal for me is to have those witnesses be intimidated by things being said on social media because those young people.
The witnesses.
He is so full of
who were intimidating the witnesses? Oh boy.
On social media more than I certainly do, and so that sure impacted me to make sure that they did not change their testimony. They were willing to come in and tell the truth without fear of being doxxed or swatted and stuff. And so I took every precaution that I could, consistent with the law, to make that happen.
Steve brought it up too, and I know both sides probably brought it up as well. The AI images of people claiming to be inside this courtroom.
Yeah, that kicked me off a little bit, because if you're going to call yourself the press, and people are going to depend on you to tell them what's going on in this courtroom, they should be telling the truth. And so
pay attention to what he's saying. So now he's going after the journalists. When people are in the court, he's basically saying they should tell the truth. This is how you know this guy is biased.
Very
I
biased.
report something.
Very biased.
We are going to see two different things. Because my report is different than yours does not make me a liar. So this is a judge. He seems to be upset.
And I want to say this here. The truth ain't in this motherfucker. There ain't no truth in this pussy bitch of a judge. No damn truth in him. Let's continue.
Because people reported on the things that they saw in this case. I'll give you an example. We had one blogger that stated that she saw the father, Jeff Metcalf, basically telling witnesses what to say. Well, then there was another one, and this was Law and Crime. They don't even know each other. Law and Crime said the same thing. Now, all of these stories came out. Seems like those are the type of things that he's angry about. So, as a judge who is a person who's in the court, overseeing the court, overseeing the case, why would you have a problem with that unless it really happened? Well, we know that it happened. I believe it
Yeah.
happened because I just don't believe that
A
those
lot
two
of people
people
been
just
saying the
made that
same
shit up.
thing.
But why would this judge care? You know what I mean? Like, why would he care about what two people said that happened? Why is he trying to paint a picture of what was being conducted in the court if it really didn't happen? That should kind of give y'all a kind of, some kind of indication that this dude is low down and dirty, okay?
Mr. Stoller, a public information officer, brought it to my attention that some news outlets were posting photos saying from inside the courtroom. And it wasn't my courtroom, it wasn't the witness, it wasn't their testimony.
So, I gotta stop him. I haven't saw anybody that posted any photos from inside the courtroom. So I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
Me
Keep
neither.
in mind, no one was able to take a phone in there. So how would they post pictures from inside of the courtroom?
Yeah.
Now, the individual that he referenced, I think he said the PIO or PCO. I don't know what that particular acronym stands for, but that particular individual was monitoring social media. So it's very interesting that people next to him and really close to him, why are they monitoring social media?
Yeah,
I'll tell you
why?
Because when you can get a good gauge of what social media is saying, that pretty much can tell you what your jury would say. And I'm going to tell you why. Because who is the jury? The jury, they're made up of those people that you see on social media. So him saying that people were taking pictures saying that they were inside of the courtroom, I didn't see anything like that.
Me neither.
I didn't see one comment or post that anybody said that they were taking pictures, because everybody that I saw said, heard, anybody, they couldn't take their phones in there. They
Exactly.
said that. So do you see how he's trying to throw a monkey wrench to make it seem like everything people said that he didn't like, that they were lying? Which again gives you the indication that this man is biased as hell. Because what he should have did, if he knew that these things were happening on social media, because his person inside the court was monitoring social media, why didn't he fix it? Or why didn't he make a...
Get 2K resolution at your front door with Blink Smart Security.
And that's tragic. Because, again, that just
I'll be
breeds
back in a minute.
the narrative that these people want to cultivate in our community to drive a wedge between us.
Who are these people?
Yeah, who are these people?
What people? To drive a wedge between us? We had a wedge driven between us ever since you all tried to paint Karmelo Anthony as a thug when he's never been to jail. He has nothing on his record but good things. But you guys did not showcase that because you wanted to paint him to be the monster that the Metcalf boys were.
And I think that's terrible.
Since we're on the topic of image, can we talk about some of the drawings?
Sure,
during the sketch?
absolutely.
What do you think? What do you think?
My wife would show me a drawing every once in a while of a court case going on. I couldn't figure out who the judge was. And all serious, the sketch artist was awesome. She was very sweet. She was here every day, putting her life's work into those images. Because we didn't have cameras in the courtroom, that's the only visual that anybody got. She did a marvelous job. I think I'm more handsome than what she portrayed overall, but I'll let everybody else figure that out.
Did the jury get it right?
Yeah, they did. You know why? Because they were picked based upon the law. They listened to the facts. It happened here in this very courtroom, and they got a verdict. And so that's the process. And whatever they say, they get it right.
There's going to be a lot of...
That's very interesting that a judge would say that. because he knows in cases, people request to, in this case, an appeal. But to say that the jury got it right, when there's tons of cases that the jury thought that they got it right and they didn't. So do you guys see how he has a strong bias and connection to this case? This is weird. And now I can see how they railroaded this black kid. Yeah, the jury got it right. First of all, why are you sitting down having an interview about this case? And even if you sat down and had the interview in which you're doing, it seems like you are very much strongly against the black boy, okay? That is what it's getting to me. What y'all saying in the chat?
Very, very biased towards Karmelo.
Now, if you guys are just coming in, please make sure you like the video and hit that subscribe button.
Scrutiny of voir dire, and you excused, not denied the defense, and the dismissing of 3 jurors who at least identified as African American on their bioforms. What did you make of that, Mo?
Well, that's not exactly how it works. The defense didn't dismiss them.
I'm sorry, the defense raised an objection.
They raised an objection, yeah. They have raised an objection. Like I told you before, as long as I follow the law, I sleep well at night. And I'm telling you, I follow the law in that case. Did I know?
As long as he followed the good old boy's law, he sleep well at night. Man, get on up out of here. You had no black jurors. Are you stupid? What law are you following? The MAGA law? You are coming off extremely biased. F-U-C-K. We can hear it in your tone. We can hear it in your presentation. We can hear you say that you were basically emotional for the Metcalfs. What judge is going around giving interviews saying that he was emotional? Well, I mean, it's like he's a part of the LGBT. I don't know, but yeah, that's not coming over very well.
Well, what the perception was going to be, sure. I knew in the back of my mind what the perception was going to be, but I'm not here to satisfy perceptions. I'm not here to satisfy agendas. I'm not here to do any of those things. I'm here to follow the law.
Well, he's not here to satisfy agendas as long as it's the MAGA agenda. And the reason why I keep saying that, because the individual who was pretty much arrested, and I want to kind of go into that just a little bit, because the guy that was arrested for terroristic threats on Karmelo Anthony's life, he was saying it right in front of the police. The only reason why he was arrested is because they kept pushing for this guy to get charges. So I don't know I do know what agenda this guy is talking about. I do know. He's there to follow the sundown town laws. Now, y'all know I just recently learned what that word was because somebody had put it in my chat a couple of months ago. So if you don't know what a sundown town is, let me know in the chat. A sundown town. Exactly.
And I did it to a T. And I'm proud of that. Very proud of that.
Is this your last big trial?
It's my last big trial. The sad part about it is, I will tell you before I leave at the end of the year, I'll try a couple more murder cases, for example. The parking lot won't be full. The gallery won't be full of people watching the case. But we still have somebody who's died and someone accused of doing the killing. And it won't draw the attention that this case did. And their death is no less tragic than the tragic death of the young man in this case. And so, big trial.
The tragic death of the young man in this case. Was it tragic? I mean, it was like a poke you out of there. So I don't know if that would be considered tragic. Do y'all see how he's sympathizing so much with one person? Yes, hopefully this will be able to be used for Karmelo's appeal. This man is full of shit. You know,
Damn
there
right.
was an attorney here on YouTube that stated that she had been in his court and she didn't say anything nice about him either. This man is a racist. I mean, listen, I've
Racist
been
son of a
around for a long
bitch.
time. I know y'all think that I'm all that young, but honey, I'm 51, and this motherfucker is giving everything that racists give. He's giving it right there. This is
So
what it
hell
looks
is.
like. You wanted a picture of what a racist person look like? Go ahead and
Be
click it
this
up right here.
motherfucker right
There you
here.
go.
I guess from an outsider's perspective and the social media and the media interest in the case, but crime still happens in Collin County, and every single person deserves to have as fair of a trial that Karmelo Anthony had.
Oh, Karmelo Anthony.
What's your take on
fair trial? You know, I believe that this interview for him was to laugh in the black community face. You
Yeah.
tight suit wearing LGBTQ, you're missing from your community. You need to go back there because you are clearly going to be coming out soon, sir. You know, you're sitting up there looking like you wear heels at night, okay? You're sitting up there looking like somebody rich. That's what you look like, okay?
Karmelo Anthony?
I don't know. I really don't know.
You've had a lot of defendants in your courtroom.
I've had a lot of defendants in my courtroom, and I talked to Mr. Anthony a couple times because I'm legally required to go over some things with him. He seems like a nice young man who committed a crime.
He seems like a nice young man. Oh, that was hard for you to push that out. He seems. No, motherfucker, he don't seem like a nice young man. He is over and above a nice young man. Okay? He seems. Oh, that was hard for him to push that out. He seems.
Every student deserves an education they can count on, one that delivers results and opens doors. For more than 25 years, WGU has made college accessible and affordable while earning the trust of employers nationwide. As a nonprofit accredited university, our online programs are built with input from industry experts, so you gain job-ready skills that benefit your career and your community. At WGU, your success creates opportunities for everyone around you. Learn more at wgu.edu.
He pushed that out. He seems. Look at his face. Oh, he didn't want to say that. He seems. Oh, y'all, this is good. He seems. He seems like a good old black boy. Good old black. What?
And he understands today, more than any day before today, the consequences of committing a crime like he did.
Committed a crime like he did. He seems. Let's rewind that.
Who committed a crime, and he understands today, more than any day before today.
Let's go
You've
back.
You've had a lot.
Where he say he seems. I gotta hear that again.
A lot of defendants in your courtroom.
I've had a lot of defendants in my courtroom, and I talked to Mr. Anthony a couple times because I'm legally required to go over some things with him. He seems.
Look at that shit. How can you say he seems? Huh? You describing him like you describing Cheyenne Bryant's no damn degree that she can't find. He seems? What the you mean he seems? He seems. Huh?
What?
He seems. He doesn't seem like shit. Everything about him is perfection. He seems, this kid, I think this happened in April of last year, he still was able to maintain his GPA. That is after going to jail, after his family being harassed. Oh, he don't seem like nothing. He is given everything that he is, and that is what you people hate. You know what? You know what these folks hate about us is they can't ever seem to get us down, because even when we go down just a little bit, we still go back up, and a lot of times we pass their ass up, and they just can't take it.
They
Because what
can't.
it doesn't seem to understand is, damn, this kid went through all of this and he still maintained his GPA. He still was able to do all of these things. But yeah, we got these bullshit ass twins over here who, you know, society tells you that, you know, white is right, but they musty ass can't seem to get it right. And we got a whole community of white folks that's saying that the white is right. But yeah, they seem to can't get it right. But he seems like he is an okay person.
Like a nice young man who, and I talked to Mr. Anthony a couple times because I'm legally required to go over some things with him. He seems
Blah,
like
blah, blah,
a nice young
motherfucker.
man who committed a crime, and he understands today, more than any day before today, the consequences of committing a crime like he did.
Last question.
Yes, sir.
Karmelo Anthony did not just randomly put his hands on somebody. You put your hands on him. So did he commit a crime or did he defend himself? You got
Talk
two
about it.
beastie, stinky, musty ass white boys that know jujitsu. From what everybody is saying, they bullies. They're saying that allegedly they whooped their daddy ass. All of these things that they're saying about these boys, and you're talking about he committed a crime. I want to know, who is Dr. Candace Matthews? Because you guys keep putting that name in my chat. Forsaken 860. He knows Dr. Candace Matthews is coming for that ass. I wonder, did they give him this case so he can't be discarded or come under review? Now, I don't know if you guys, obviously you guys don't watch every video, but this judge, he got a shady ass past, okay? I did a video in which this guy was reprimanded for doing shady shit in his court. Let me tell you.
And I'm going to actually do a separate live stream on Dr. Kenneth Matthews once I might try to do it tonight. I don't know. Then again, I'm probably going to end up doing it tomorrow.
What he was doing. He sold a book. I'm not sure if he's still married, but when he did this book, it stated that his wife was also an attorney. Well, they were utilizing the court for their own personal gain, and they got a bunch of damn complaints. He's shady. He's very shady. Yeah. This man was reprimanded by the State Commission of Judicial Conduct. Yep. Yep. Oh, Dr. Matthews exposed the judge and DA. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, listen. I got this thing that I got going on, and I can smell and see bullshit. Like, this is bullshit. Look at his posture. He said Karmelo Anthony seemed. Did Karmelo Anthony seem like he was a good kid? No, he is. There's nothing seemingly about nothing about him. Did you guys see this? And listen, guys, they sentenced him the same day. You know, generally, when you're going through sentencing, they allow you a week or 2 weeks or something. They wanted to ship him up and out of here as fast as they could.
Yep.
Okay? Yeah, this is... She's already there. She's airing it all out. Are you talking about the doctor? How can I find this lady that you're talking about? Dr. Matthews. I think this is who you're speaking of. Angel Jones 9419. You said she's already there. Are you talking about the?
You know what? I, even though I'm going to. Oh, no. Okay. Here's. I'm going to put it Dr. Kenneth Matthews clip. Let me find it. Smash. Smash the topic. TV. Here we go. This Dr. Kenneth Matthews, y'all.
It looks like it's larger than charge too. It is carry a lot of information in it. Oh, you want to hold on before you start? I'm gonna sit up. Okay. Yeah.
Wait a minute, hold on. I ain't got time for all that.
Twice yearly prep is here. One office visit
Play
every 6
this
months.
here.
2 times a year for.
Okay, I'm gonna do a testing 1, 2, 3. Let me know that you got everything. If everything is clear.
Let's listen.
Come on, yeah. Yeah, come on, yeah, stand right. Okay. Stand right. Okay, praise be. Okay. Testing 1, 2, 3. Give me a thumbs up when you're ready, y'all. Ready? Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Candace Matthews. I am the National Minister of Politics for the New Black Panther Nation, and I'm also a national renowned human civil rights activist, advocate, and author.
Yeah, you can't be coming typing in all caps, bro. Sorry about
what
that.
I've seen in the past week and a half was a new era, real live lynching that happened with Karmelo Anthony. Now, I had a lot of people reaching out to me on social media. I had a lot of people tagging me and everything because I cannot be everywhere at one time. I'm all over the United States. Right. But the thing is that when I seen that they had an actual activist and they had a legal team and they didn't have no black people on the jury, that would not have happened on our watch. I don't understand how that was even able to go further than that. That should have went to the First Court of Appeals. Then after the First Court of Appeals, then it go to the Fifth Circuit Court. We would have took it all the way to the Supreme Court. That didn't happen. Another thing that I looked at is that we had people here that were paid to be moles to create chaos. See, we used to dealing with that when we on our activism travels across this United States. That would not have happened on our watch. But again, let's be clear. Everything happens for a reason. But one thing I want to let the community know, just because I wasn't here doesn't mean I wasn't working. We were working behind the scenes because we knew that this was a setup from the beginning. We knew that they was going to find him guilty. We didn't know that it was going to be 35 years though, but we knew that it was going to be something that was going to be egregious. And that's why I want to give a shout out to Charleston White. I want to give a shout out to Brother Cornell X, because all of us got together so we can help this family to be able to get the proper legal team that's needed. And what we do, we're not going to push a legal team on you. We're going to give you the top of the notch, creme de la creme, and you pick who you want to fit for you.
Talk about
it. And that is exactly what we're doing right now at this time. Now, we know that they was running everything real quick with this case. Because I thought everything was going to be done today. I thought it was going to be done today. It was 2 days ago, and guess what? I couldn't be here for that day because guess what? Because as an activist, when you hold people accountable, they set traps for you. I had to be in court for a case that they tried to set me up on. They got dismissed on. Okay? But guess who here today? Dr. Matthews. So, when you're dealing with a case of this magnitude, you have to have an experienced activist. You have to have an experienced legal team. And that's exactly what we saw, okay? And I'm not trying to step on nobody's toes. It is what it is. Now, we are at this point where I seen a DA. I seen a judge. I seen the Metcalf family. I seen my people. And the whole United States seen what happened here. So now where we are is what the next steps. Because see, I'm not going to do no press conference with no rah-rah. I don't have time for that. Now it's about action and plans of action. What I seen was that this young man, I've worked on several cases, criminal cases. I have never seen no inmate that's in a county jail going to TDC the very next day. Normally it takes 30, 60, 90 days before you are able to get on their chain to go to TDC. They hurry up and got this baby out of here. Then another thing that we also seen, that's why I'm bringing this information to you. What we also seen was that they already gave him a public defender for the appeal. So this is why this is very evident and this is important why I had to come here, so you don't get no misinformation. So now what's happening is that we have to ensure that there is the right, correct legal team to help in this process, because we can't have no more ball dropping, y'all. We cannot. Because we have a young man's life that's at stake at this time. Now, I'm not going to get into retrying this case because that happened then. We are here now. We are here dealing with the appeals process. This is what we own, and the time clock starts now. The fight starts now. The fight starts now, people. This is not something that we just have to be, no. This is serious. This is serious. And then I want to also say to the very people that were saying, well, Dr. Matthews, she's not here. No, baby, you don't know what the hell I was doing. Because at the end of the day, I'm here now. The big dog is here now. And people going to be held accountable in these streets. And one thing that I want to lay out, because I know y'all didn't know nothing about this, since what I was told by some of the court watchers, they would bring information to me and tell me how the DA was talking in that hearing, would tell me how the judge was moving in that hearing, right? Well, baby, I got some tea on them.
Talk to him.
Bag of evidence. Baby, this is a hammer bag of evidence. So, hold this for me, brother.
Running your own business and being a creative is a lot of work. And starting some...
Hold this for me, brother. See, I ain't come out here to play. I came out here, since you over here want to call this boy a murderer, then we're gonna take the covers off you. Ain't no way in hell that
Pay
you need to be a
attention.
damn DA with this foolishness. Did you know? Hold this, please.
I got you.
That there is a 75-page federal lawsuit for sexual harassment of the DA that was saying that Karmelo
Listen.
Anthony is a murderer. Well, you need to be a registered sex offender, sucker. Let me read. The black cow to kill the black cow, but you the whole DA out here. Oh, so you thought y'all was the only one that can go in PACES. And explain to you what PACES is. PACES is the database for federal lawsuits. See, we have a research team back there that's colder than the media. So let me go ahead and read a little bit of it, show you how disgusting this joke is.
It's serious.
After Jane Doe 1 refused defendant Willis, ain't that his name, Greg Willis? Oh, okay. Advances at the Galveston TDCAA conference, he treated her quite differently in the workplace. He began demeaning and berating her. In one closed-door meeting, he told her, "You think like a child, and I would treat you like a child." Defendant Willis likely appreciated the gender slurring that is implicit in a male supervisor telling a female employee that she thinks like a child. Oh, wait a minute, it gets better. Hold on. More than once, she tried to break free, but he held her tighter. These physical encounters were unwanted and sexual in nature. Jane Doe 1 eventually put in for a position in the Victim Assistance Division and got it in December 2020. This role put her under the supervision of Chief Pricker. However, the unwanted touches and full frontal hugs with moaning continued. The most recent write somebody else in. Because this man here is a sexual deviant. And he has no place being a DA here in Collin County. And if you want to see this lawsuit, you can go to my Houston Stringer page or Nights on TV. We're going to drop the whole 75 pages so you can read it for yourself. And it's some sick puppy foolishness in here. But he's DA though. Oh, okay. Let me see. Yeah. But then, we took it a step further. Hold that for me. We took it a step further. Because anytime we pull court documents, my legal team will put it in an audit. And it'll give a psychological background of the defendant. Y'all want to hear it?
Sexual deviant. Hell yeah.
So, we have predatory behavior patterns of District Attorney Greg Willis. The complaint outlines an administrative pattern where D.A. Willis routinely leveraged his immense legal and professional power, including his authority to refer individuals for indictment and control criminal investigations, to isolate and exploit female employees. Oh, he enforces strict closed-door policies using forested glass office doors to maintain total occupancy. Across multiple independent plaintiff accounts, Willis repeatedly utilized identical operational pretexts to force unwanted physical contact. He frequently claimed he needed help with an electronic document to draw female staff behind his desk, subsequently tapping them in chairs, massaging their shoulders, stroking their limbs, and forcing full frontal body hugs while rubbing their lower backs, audibly moaning. He
You sick
explicitly framed
bitch.
his actions as personal compulsions, stating, telling staff, sometimes I can't help myself. When he near to them, and blaming their appearance for the lack of professional control. That's the DA we got in here. That's the DA who did this to Karmelo Anthony. So y'all ain't know that, huh? Oh, y'all didn't? Okay. And then, so let me tell you about, let me get this one. Oh no, it's more, baby. It's more stuff. It's more stuff. Now, I want to give credit to North Carolina The Beat, which is another, black journalist that we all work together. All us people, activist journalists, we work together. And I thank him for giving us this information, and we confirmed all of it. However, Judge Roach, now I'm on your avenue.
Come on.
Okay? Did y'all know that there's a third-party website? Because y'all know I deal with judicial accountability, right? Y'all know I bring them judges and I slang them when they dirty, right? So there's a third party that I want you all to be able to go to. And I'm going to make sure that we put it in the article so you can use that as a resource. Because whatever court you go to in the United States that deal with family and children, you need to know who's on this list. And this is a list of child abuse judges.
New appliances? Make Fanny's Appliances your first stop. The Upstate's Appliance Headquarters.
This is a list of child abuse judges.
Child abuse.
As of, this is child abuse judges, and this comes from the childabusejudges.com. Yeah, see, you don't know until you know, right? Okay, so as of 12/22/2025, 1,400 plus judges have been accused of child abuse. Many judges 2 to 6 times. So let's see what state we got. Texas up here. Because this is all of them. But I'm just going to show y'all Texas. Let's see who name on here. Oh yeah, here you go. My Versace glasses kind of got in the way. But Judge John Roach Jr. is on that list. And this is the same judge that convicted Karmelo. So, you know what they say. Don't throw rocks living in a what? Glass house. So, you need to know who is governing you guys. Because if you don't, how do you know how to move? That's why elections is important. You need to know who you're voting for. Y'all over here putting sex offenders in here, child abuse judges in here, and you wonder why you can't move 2 steps forward and you got to take 2 steps back, and then they turn around and take your kids from you, then they turn around and have your ass going to TDCJ for over 30 years. But that's what you got in this county here. So what I want to leave to the people of Collin County is this. DFW surrounding areas. We got to mobilize. We got to mobilize. We got to stop fighting each other, and we got to start fighting fire with fire. We have to let these people know that we would not tolerate this egregious activity that they're doing to our people. We would not tolerate it. So I did not come out here to rah-rah. I came out here to tell truth to power. So you know who you dealing with in here. See, while you going getting in that Jordan line, you better get in that voting line. When you over there on that stripper pole, you better get to that voting pole. Because at the end of the day, who they affect locally is y'all. So do I got any questions for the meeting? Because I got time today. I got time today. I sure do.
People that are not in higher power like you guys, what do you want us to do as a people?
What do you want us to do?
I'm a blogger, so what do we do?
No, what you do, you continue being a blogger. You continue shining the light. But what you have to do, you have to ensure whatever that you put in, that it is credible. Because you damage your credibility, you damage everything. Yes.
I know that you have a lot of problems with the trial, the way it went down.
Yes.
What is your biggest problem with it that you feel like discredits the entire trial?
Who was conducting it from the beginning? And then who was the one that was convicting? Who was the one that was calling the shots? I got a problem with these people. You know, I actually have a problem with this. I have a problem, like I'm going to repeat this again. This was a modern day live lynching. This was from the very beginning that this young man was doing. That's why we were working behind the scenes, because this time we could get in front of this.
What are you doing now in terms of trying to help with the appeal or be
What we're doing now at this stage is trying to help the family to get the right, proper legal representation. We giving them names, and they need to be able to pick who they want. I'm not going to just say, no, you take this lawyer here, and then this lawyer get over here and do what these lawyers did. And just sow this child up the river. Now, am I in agreement with anybody losing their life? Absolutely not. But I'm also in agreement of accountability, because accountability breeds responsibility. And it's our responsibility as a community and as me as an activist to call it out. Because when you don't shine a light to it, it's going to continue. That's why y'all need to know who we dealing with in here. And I'm not done digging up all the rest of these judges. Or whoever else. We're not done.
what else are you doing to,
I'm sorry?
what else would you be doing besides this event?
I'm just gonna say this. You just stay tuned. You just stay tuned. Because I'm not giving the game play. Just stay tuned. Because you have a lot of people, and not to be disrespectful, my brother, you have a lot of people that do this, but don't put no action. So I'm telling you, watch the action play, because it's coming. Any other questions?
Being aware of the video that's supposed to be Karmelo Anthony.
Well, see, that right there, ma'am, I'm not trying to retry nothing with the case. What we're going to do, we're going to let the appeal process deal with that. That's why we need the best lawyers who going to go and get that. Who going to go and get what's supposed to be done. That's what we do. I'm sorry? No, it's going to be the entire United States that's going to help. Because they're going to have everybody. We're all going to galvanize behind this. I'm sorry?
What do you think about the photos you've seen released of Karmelo tired, things like that. I mean, a lot of
It hurt. It hurt. Well, I mean, let's just be clear. Let's be clear. What they do, that's just standard. What they do with sending these pictures out to try to paint this child to be a bad person. But you notice what I noticed what they didn't put out was when he saved the child from drowning. That's right. Because we had that news article and I put that out and the whole nation didn't know nothing about it. So I'm like this, if you're gonna tell it all. That's right. Tell it all. Absolutely. And when you did not have a mitigation specialist on that defense team, this is what you get. This is what you get. And so I'm just going to be real clear, everybody. Now, we got to start because the fight starts now. Everybody has a strong suit out here. Utilize your strong suit because the family is going to need us. We need to make sure, one, that you're a blogger, if you're the news, if you have your own news stations, anyway, anything that's dealing with that caliber, we got to control the narrative, and we have to ensure the narrative is being put out correctly.
Right.
And when things are not being done right, we got to shine a light to it, period. So, any other questions before we conclude this press conference?
I have a question.
Yes.
What advice would you give to our black community just moving forward with this situation? What advice could we give to our children?
To the online white people who use this opportunity to be racist and call us monkeys.
Okay, so let me just say this. Let me just say this, everybody. I've been called all kind of names from the rooter to the tutor. Okay? What you have to keep in mind is this. Don't worry about the distractions. It's distractions. Keep your eyes on the prize. And our prize at this point right now is to get this boy out. Okay? And we got to do everything by step because keep in mind, we wasn't involved in the process at first. Am I right or wrong? We wasn't. So we're going to be involved with it now, though. And my bloggers, don't y'all stop. Because whatever they can't cover, because they got producers and stuff, whatever they can't cover, you cover it. Send it to me. We're going to get it out there because I got more followers than them anyway. That's what we're going to do. Any other questions? Okay, so that one right there, and then you know what else happened with that lawsuit? He didn't even file an answer, honey. So that lets you know he a freak.
Why would money even be involved?
Can't control your sexual urges. What's wrong with you? You need Jesus. Okay. Thank y'all. Come on, girl, because I got to go.
Okay. So, can you explain how long kind of a process you want to get?
Hold on. Hold this for me. Hold on, wait a minute. Child, I got to get my fan for this shit. Cause baby, it's hot. Hold on, child. Let me get my fan, honey. Cause I'm not going to be falling out here with this one, child. Okay, now, repeat your question, I'm sorry.
I'm thinking you explain to the community how long the process is going to be. Kind of like.
Well, see, it would be 1.5 to 2 years, possibly. That's why what I'm saying is that this is going to be an uphill battle. I'm not going to say this is going to be a cakewalk because it's not. And that's why that's why I keep stressing that this family has to have the creme de la creme appealing team. Period, point blank, so. All right? Yes, ma'am.
We're about to go to Queen Sheba in a minute.
Because it's by an appointed appellate lawyer. That's why we putting this out right now. So we can ensure we get the creme de la creme so we get him off. So once that is done and we do a new appeal, we can include a submission statement. Well, see, I'm not a lawyer, so I can't answer that. Okay? So I can't speak on nothing legal about that, baby, because I'm not a lawyer. All I can tell you is what we're going to do as the community and as an activist and what we're going to do to help galvanize and help give leverage to that legal team. now, honey. No. Save that for when we get to the appeal process. Okay. Thank you. All right, I'm not taking no more questions. I'm done, y'all. Thank you so much. Thank you. We appreciate you.
And here's Queen
What we need
Sheba.
to say.
Oh.
Let's say his name. Carmelo! 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 You coming home, baby. You just hold on. Hold on. Thank you.
Okay, here's Queen Sheba. Come on. Come on, sometime today.
I started running my home garage because the workwear industry wasn't working for my buddies in the trades. We're building something better.
This one battery, help me build all this.
And clean all this. Enjoy all this.
It's time to sip that coffee, get your mind right, and vibe with the queen herself. We're dishing out hot topics, wellness tips of the
8 gave the floor to the defense. But prior to that, the judge addressed the jury with jury instructions, and he said, you don't have to memorize what I'm saying. You will receive a written version of this in the back. And he started off with all persons are presumed innocent unless proven beyond a reasonable, unless a proved act has occurred. Keep in mind, the defense doesn't have to present evidence to prove their innocence. That burden sits with the prosecution. He said the state has to prove beyond all reasonable doubt that Karmelo Anthony did commit murder. What does that mean? Bodily injury and or physical pain with a deadly weapon, serious bodily injury that's caused by an individual. He goes on to read the definition of murder, and this is just short, brief, cliff notes. Murder is an act that intentionally or unintentionally causes an individual to lose their life. Then he goes on to read the definition of manslaughter. That's a person that's reckless in regard to their conduct that causes another person to lose their life. Like I said, I'm just giving you the cliff note version. If you consider murder, I also want you to consider if Karmelo Anthony acted in self-defense. Was he justified in using deadly force? Did he give a warning? Did he have a right to be present? Was he engaged in criminal activity? If you, more than one may appear to him. Hold on.
And to be honest, I may not do all of this, but I do want to do a good bit of it.
I'm looking. And he goes on to say, if you have any reasonable doubt, then, you will find him not guilty. And then he goes on to say, define deadly force. Deadly force is I'm not going to read that because my notes are all over the place. He instructed the jury that you cannot use the lack of testimony against Karmelo Anthony. Don't talk about it. Don't speak on it. Don't question why he did not testify. You cannot take that bias to the deliberation room. Okay? So he instructed them that. The state waived their right to opening, and they passed the floor to the defense. Let me go back. There's 3 charges that the jury, that Karmelo Anthony was facing. First-degree murder. No, there's 3 charges. I'm sorry. We were looking at manslaughter, first-degree murder, or self-defense, if I'm correct. The judge said, The defense said no person may be convicted unless each of them agree to beyond a reasonable doubt. The defense starts with, what is self-defense? The closing statements were led by Mike Howard. And he starts off by saying the government wants to make you believe that this case is about number one, murder. That Karmelo Anthony intentionally murdered Austin Metcalf. He says, I would like to call your attention to a few things. Number one, everyone that testified adhered to the culture of the tents. You know, it's okay. Most people visit. Most kids visit other tents between 30 seconds to 10 minutes. He said, but not Memorial. Not Memorial. He said, you've heard from witnesses, coaches from other schools in Frisco. And they've testified, yes, it's normal for kids to tents. Minimum 30 seconds, max to 10 minutes. He said also, number two, we know it was raining that day. I'm asking you to use common sense. Was it reasonable for Karmelo Anthony to think, geez, let me get out of this rain. I gotta get out of this rain. Was that a reasonable act for him to duck away under a tent? Number three, not only did he duck away under the tent, he said, crazy weather, huh? As he's making conversation with another kid, and he named the child. Number two, we know it was raining because when you reviewed the video surveillance that was presented by the forensic digital analysts, we could see Karmelo Anthony slip and fall when he was retreating from the altercation, which proves there was weather that day. Where is he going with this? There's two reasons Karmelo Anthony entered that tent. Number one is because it was raining, and number two, he was summoned over there by his friend. He said, you also had a witness to testify that we had no problem with him being under the tent while it was raining. Now, I won't be cleaning molded mildew next week thanks to this.
Did you know Lysol disinfectant spray can actually prevent mold and mildew growth? Spray it every week to break the cycle. Lysol, what it takes to protect.
SCDNR's Palmetto Protectors presents Field Notes.
I'm Michael Hook. I'm the
problem with him being under the tent while it was raining. Number five, he says another witness testified that Karmelo Anthony, he spoke, he said hello to everybody, and he even dapped up his friend. I would like to remind you why Karmelo Anthony started under that tent. According to a Memorial High School student that was a state's witness, I'm playing like I'm the defense, everybody. Eddie said, hey, come over here. He said everything was fine. They were talking. They were just being kids. He's been under the memorial tent before until Hunter Metcalf and Austin Metcalf confronted Karmelo Anthony. He said it's reasonable for Karmelo to hesitate to leave because of the rain. Now, this is what we're going to do. Because what you're not going to do, because I'm done. I've left the courthouse and we can get real jiggy. So what you're not going to do is come under here and antagonize me under the instruction of a meth head, under the instruction of a woman that you worship. So this is what we're about to do, because you're going to mind your fucking manners over here today. Now, I allowed you racists, I allowed you Neanderthals to do the most, and I overlooked it because I was in professional mode that day. But We will not continue that type of behavior over here. And as a matter of fact, if you are here because Sarah sent you, she failed you. Because she took $30,000 from you and didn't give you in-depth notes from both sides. So what I'm about to do is I'm about to get you up out of here. There you go. You're gone. You're gone. Let's continue. No, they control. They're out of here. You'll never be able to comment on my channel again, ever, in your natural born life until the day you die. Good day. Because we're not going to be disrespectful. You're going to find your manners. Okay. So then he goes on to say, Karmelo has been there before. He's been under that tent before. It's not his first time. So he was fine for several minutes. There was no altercation. There was no problem. You heard people testify, other students testify. We were okay with it while it was raining until he was approached, confronted by Austin Metcalf and Hunter Metcalf. He said it's reasonable for Karmelo to hesitate because of the rain. He said it was even testified by a Memorial student that Karmelo said, "What's your problem? Nobody's tripping but y'all." The students told you Hunter got mad. Austin Metcalf got more mad. Hunter Metcalf escalated. Karmelo Anthony was afraid to leave at this time. They testified that he just came into the tent, sat down. They asked him to leave. And according to them, he said, "Touch me and see what happens." He said, but he was surrounded by the big boys, the linebacker. You had Hunter Metcalf. You had Austin Metcalf. You had somebody in the back of him and somebody on the side of him. And the entire time he remained seated. He was afraid. He never stood up. He was afraid. Y'all remove his comment. Oh, okay, got it. Okay, y'all, hold on. Y'all throwing me off. Okay, here we go. All right. So he stayed seated because he was afraid. Metcalf, and what he's insinuating in that moment is, where was he gonna go? Because the Metcalf boys didn't give him room to leave. They continued to stand over him. So when you're asking somebody to leave, what he's insinuating is, would you not make room for him to get up to leave? But that's not what happened. They're telling you they're asking him to leave, which they did, but there was nowhere to go. He continues on to say, Memorial coach wasn't there. Other coaches were. How come Hunter Metcalf and Austin Metcalf didn't go get another coach to help out? Does Karmelo Anthony leave, turn his back on them, and wait until they hurt him bad? Because the law says you don't have to wait to use deadly force if you have a reasonable belief that you're going to be harmed by one or more individuals. He said these students testified that it was one-on-one. He said it wasn't one-on-one. We had 130 pounds versus 213 pounds times 2. That's not one-on-one. That's 2 by 2.
Looking for storage and office solutions? United Rentals has you covered. We have storage and office containers for every job site. United Rentals.
Every interaction we have, Finn is involved in almost every single one of them, 99 point something %. And it's just...
That's 2 by 2. He said, keep in mind that the kids that testified They testified in Austin Metcalf's favor because he's their friend, he's their brother, he's their leader, he's their captain of the football team. Some of them are telling the truth. There was various versions that you've heard, but you only heard general versions. You didn't hear all of the details. Some said he touched him. Some said he pushed him. Some said it was a light shove. Some said he hit him. He said, and you had one that said he hit him as like a linebacker would tackle somebody. And then you said, they told you after the altercation that Karmelo Anthony ran. He says he didn't run and go home. He didn't leave the stadium. Folks, he ran to a coach. Karmelo Anthony could have left, but he headed on the field and he ran to a coach. You heard that Karmelo was remorseful. He was distraught. The words that were used to describe him after the altercation was crying, emotional, hysterical. The officer said he was emotional. All have testified that his emotions were genuine. Everyone except Coach Starr. And Coach Starr said he was hysterical. You know why? Because Coach Starr starts to get into his face and yell at him. So Karmelo sought out Coach Hooper, a safe coach. And Coach Hooper testified to you all, quote, I turned him over to Centennial, unquote. I'm sorry, quote, I turned him over to Centennial because they know him, unquote. He said, let's go back to Starr. He's the only one that testified differently than the other coaches. Starr aggressively approached Karmelo. He hopped the fence and he said, he yelled at him, he's in his face, what did you do? What did you do? Whereas you have Coach Hooper, who puts his arm around Karmelo and he says, son, if that young man dies, your life will change forever. To which Karmelo responded, he's not gonna die. And Coach Hooper then repeats, son, if that young man dies, your life will change forever. He said Karmelo's response to Coach Hooper shows there was no intent to kill Austin Metcalf that day. He says Coach Hooper testified under oath that Karmelo kept asking, is he okay? Will he be okay? And I want to focus on his state of mind. Does that sound intentional? Or does that sound unintentional? He says, now everybody would like you to believe that Karmelo came to that tent, sat down, they asked him politely to leave, and he says, touch me and see what happens. He said, that is not what happened. Karmelo was summoned over there. And the second reason is he stayed is because it was raining. He said, you heard Austin's friends testify that Austin told him, if you don't move, I'm gonna beat your bitch ass. Then he goes on to say, Texas law is clear about knives. 5.5 inches or below does not violate the law. Even a teen, even if a teenager is carrying that knife. Now you may not like it, but it's not against the law. It is against school policy, but it is not against the law. Even if it violates school policy, to which Karmelo Anthony was not suspended. He goes back to self-defense and he walks him through what Texas law says about self-defense. He says the law does not require you to wait until you are hit, until you are hurt. If you believe beyond a reasonable doubt that you're about to be harmed, according to the defense, Texas law doesn't require you to wait until you are severely injured. So he poses the question, was Karmelo supposed to just sit there and take it and wait and allow it to happen, not knowing the severity of the injuries that he would be dealt by those boys in the tent? He said, based on testimony, he's surrounded by these boys. You heard the testimony. They said, we. And they named off the name. He said, the law understands that there's no way that you would be able to predict what's about to happen. The law does not require you to know what's about to happen.
It all started with one battery, sparking a revolution. 30 years of battery compatibility, versatility, and innovation with one promise. Every OnePlus battery works with every OnePlus tool. Ryobi One Plus. 30 years, one battery, endless possibilities. Been halfway across the continent looking for you. Hard woman to track down.
Where you found me? Ms. Croft, when it comes to retrieving, you're the liar.
God does not require you to know what's about to happen to you. He said, I would like to shift to motive. Let's talk about motive. The state still hasn't presented a motive or giving you a motive explaining why Karmelo Anthony would want to harm Austin Metcalf, other than he was in danger, folks. The state has failed to establish a motive. Listen, he says, they have no background, Austin and Karmelo. He goes on. He says, now I would like to focus on the medical examiner's report. According to the medical examiner who testified under oath as a medical expert, she said the wound was a lateral tilt up. It wasn't vertical, it was not horizontal. The direction of the wound was a lateral tilt up. And then he demonstrates aiming a knife. He goes, this is intentional. And he kind of thrusts the knife out horizontally. And then he said, this is intentional, and he kind of thrusts the knife down. If someone wants to kill you, according to the medical examiner, based on stab wounds she's seen, typically they're like this or they're like that. And he demonstrates that physically, right? In the courtroom to the jurors. He said, listen, the angle of the wound is evidence that Karmelo Anthony had no real intention to harm, but he was placed in a position to defend himself if you go by the expert account of the tilt of the wound. He said, if you can recall the testimony of Memorial Kids, Eddie called, hold on, give me 1 second. Eddie called Karmelo over. When we're talking motive, if Karmelo intentionally wanted to, what he's trying to say is if Karmelo intentionally wanted to kill Austin Metcalf, then Eddie calling him over is a problem. Because otherwise, Karmelo would not have been in that tent when we're talking intent.
Right.
said, so imagine Karmelo's state of mind. The guy that you think is your friend calls you over. Multiple people, after a while, get up to attack you. Karmelo is afraid. And even when Austin Metcalf stood up over him, Karmelo Anthony did not assume an aggressive position. He remained seated the entire time. Karmelo Anthony warned Austin Metcalf to not put his hands on him. And Austin Metcalf proceeded to escalate an attack. He said, now those kids are kids. They don't know the law, but you know the law. And it is your job to decide as a jury. And even though they all agree as kids that what Karmelo Anthony did was not self-defense, it's not really fair to ask friends of the deceased to determine if Karmelo committed a crime, because they're going to be biased. All right? So they pass the floor to the state. Let's go to the state. So the state takes the floor, and it's led by Bill Dworsky. And Bill has this booming voice, and he says, do not let them turn a threat into a benign warning. Karmelo Anthony threatened Austin Metcalf. He threatened him. So don't you let them get up and turn a threat into this passive, benign warning. Because you know what? If you're scared, you heard the defense say that a coach was in proximity. If Karmelo was scared, how come he didn't yell for help? And don't let them try to take the orientation of the knife rule and call this self-defense. That is ludicrous. He says, motive? I don't know. The reasons are unknown. But what I want you to focus on is the mindset. I want you to focus on the mindset of Karmelo Anthony. And he took the knife to the track, and it was his little secret. He had a knife, and because he had a knife, he's always going to come out on top, because only he knows that he has a knife. And it boils down to this, folks. You don't get to meet a shove with a stab, especially if you provoke the action. Let's talk about the relevant facts. Let's talk about the relevant law. The word is provoke. You've heard it over and over and over. Provoke. You can't provoke your way into using deadly force.
Right.
When Austin just simply shoved you. So then he goes back and he repeats, and I made a note. Well, he said, I'm going to rely on my opening statements. And if you've been following me, I've already covered his opening statements. When he said, Karmelo Anthony took a knife and he thrust it into the heart of Austin Metcalf. That's what the evidence proves. And he used the phrase, Karmelo Anthony went from 0 to 100. How come he just didn't leave? He could have retreated.
In moments of seismic change,
He could have retreated. He said the video tells a story. It's a series of snapshots that the defense wants to attack, but the video tells you the story. And the video was supported by eyewitness. They corroborated Karmelo Anthony's actions. He said, and you can't get to manslaughter unless you acquit him unanimously of murder. You can't even consider manslaughter unless you all agree that he's not guilty of murder. And the defense wants to talk self-defense. You don't get to meet a shove with a stab. You can't provoke an encounter and then use deadly force. And all of these witnesses have said Karmelo Anthony provoked Austin Metcalf. And if you find that Karmelo Anthony provoked, then self-defense is off the table. It must come off the table. He said, let's talk proportionality. Force proportionality. You can't meet a shove with a deadly stab. It has to be in proportion to the act committed against you. Yeah, they're talking about the size differentiation, but that's not going to work in this case. You can't kill because somebody's bigger than you. And then he moved on from that very quickly, and he goes on into a reasonable doubt. And I put, quote, ordinary/prudent. He says an ordinary, prudent, reasonable person. When you consider reasonable doubt, would you or me, he says, we're talking ordinary, prudent, reasonable people, would you have stabbed, basically, would you have stabbed Austin Metcalf? So that's what it means beyond a reasonable doubt, what an ordinary, prudent, reasonable person would have done. What would be ordinary to do in this case? And then I made a small note. And I just want to give you my note. My note says, the problem is you have to think like a child. I get what he's saying as adults, and he's speaking to the jury, but I made a small note. The problem is you have to think like a child. So anywho, he shifts to self-defense. He says self-defense must be immediately necessary. In order to get this as self-defense, was it immediately necessary for Karmelo Anthony to stab Austin Metcalf? He said you have video evidence. And then he said Karmelo Anthony was not surrounded. And there were no defensive wounds from Austin Metcalf. You know why? Because he didn't see it coming. Let's focus on his actions after murder.
Just because he didn't have defensive wounds does not mean that he wasn't in an altercation. That's a bullshit theory from the lawyer.
What was his actions after the murder? Because that is indicative of the mindset. Guilty. He said his mindset after the murder. You heard people say, he touched me, he touched me. If he was really surrounded, why didn't he yell for help? So don't buy into his lie. Go back to the police reports. Go back to Karmelo's words. He said he touched me, not they touched me. He said witnesses, their testimonies were not consistent. No, they were not. But they all said that Karmelo was in the wrong and that Karmelo committed murder. He says, listen, I'm telling you, Karmelo Anthony had it in his mind, focus on his mindset, what he was going to do. They told you, the witnesses told you that Austin Metcalf was not angry. He was frustrated, and he likely pushed Karmelo. And I made a note, and I said, oh, the state painted Austin Metcalf as a gentle giant. Now, that's it. That wraps up closing arguments by both the state and the defense. And that's how I give what's happening in the courtroom. And just because another side that's handpicked or another content creator or independent journalist that you like decides not to give it to you, don't you ever come over here and accuse me of lying.
I will pray for you, but if you get on my nerve, I will cuss you smooth out. My mouth ain't under control yet, and I can throw these hands. And let me tell you something, if I get my hands on you, I promise you, you're going to know you've been in a fight. But I'm trying not to go there because I'm in transition.
Now, we choose to share what we want. It just so happens I choose to share both sides, period. Then they go on to the verdict, right? So we were out. That was closing arguments, both sides. We're hanging out. Things are getting crazy at the courtroom. You see people I'm in the parking lot, I'm in my car. Y'all, by this time, I am hungry, but I don't want to leave the campus. So I had like Uber Eats deliver me some food. I was nervous. It was just, I didn't know what to expect. Now, after the closing arguments, I thought that Mike Howard did a really good job I've been waiting for him to show up this entire trial because, like I said, I marvel at the brilliance. Typically, when I attend court cases, I marvel at the brilliance of both the state, the government, and the defense team. And I didn't see it from Mike Howard. And at one point, I'm like, you gonna play ball? This is what I'm thinking in my head, right? Just as a defense attorney, let's go, play ball. You playing or what? What you doing? But in the closing arguments, I felt he did a really good job of being a technical expert on what the law is versus what the law is not. So the jury comes back, and according to the verdict, they didn't feel the same because they found, well, let me tell you about the aura. Whew, it was heavy law enforcement. Heavy. The silence was deafening. It was so loud and thick. People were already crying. Everybody was waiting around. They escorted the families in. And I put the aura as eerie, heavy, a heavy wave of anticipation. And I made a personal note. I said, no matter what, a child is lost when you think about both families. That was my personal note. This is not a win. This is a lose on every side. If you look at it from the perspective of a parent, back away from the law.
Nature's miracle. Permanently eliminate tough odors and stains at the source.
When I came to Texas A&M, I never thought I would get the chance to work with Mr. Beast and to be the leader of this partnership.
When I found out we were going to partner with Mr. Beast,
Both parents have lost. And I made a note. I said, Karmelo Anthony took a life. Austin Metcalf is gone. And Karmelo Anthony, his life is in the hands of the jury. So when I walk in and we take a seat, I immediately begin to cry very quietly because I see the defense team and he's comforting and rubbing Karmelo Anthony. And I almost lost it because this is real. That's why it's important to stay neutral, to see both sides when you come in. It's real. I'm witnessing raw emotion from the Metcalfs. I'm witnessing raw emotion from the defendant, who is Karmelo Anthony. And I see this kid shaking and crying and sobbing. And his mother can't touch him and his father can't touch him. But then you have the same situation with the Metcalfs. They can't touch Austin. They can't console him. And that's why I said it's a lose-lose situation, right? And his lawyer is just trying to get him to calm down. Karmelo Anthony's head is bowed down. You can see his shoulders visibly shaking. And I think Jeff Metcalf not testified to that, but in his news conference, he said, listen, I'm a human being. The sorrow was deep in that courtroom. And the Judge Roach came in, all rise, we all rose, we sat down. He made it very clear that there will be no emotional outburst in his courtroom. He said, you can get emotional, but you can't get emotional here. I will not tolerate it in my courtroom. Then he talks about, they escort the jury in. They're escorted in by the bailiff. And the jury takes their seats. Immediately, I was able to identify who the foreman of the jury was. I found it interesting that Judge Roach skipped a lot of steps that I've seen happen in federal court. Typically, the person would stand, is it true that you've been selected as foreman of the jury? Yes or no, sir, or form, whatever. He didn't do any of that. So, the gentleman that was foreman of the jury was actually seated on the first row to the far left. But typically his seat would be on the last row. I'm sorry, he was seated on the first row to the far right. Typically his seat would be on the last row up to the far left, closer to the Metcalf family. I'm trying to tell you, okay, the gentleman that was the foreman of the jury, do you remember I told you there was a young blonde kid there who looked like he could be maybe 19? They got rid of that kid. That kid was not, they moved him to an alternate. So the foreman was initially seated next to that kid. The judge says, you know, we've been made aware that you as a jury have reached a verdict. Is that correct? That's correct. The foreman hands the bailiff the verdict on a sheet of paper, and I wrote, it was silence, it was tense, and I kept writing to keep from crying. And as I looked up, as he's handing the piece of paper to the bailiff, before they read it, I wrote down guilty. Why would you do that? Well, I saw when he handed the paper to the bailiff, he turned all the way to the right and looked down that row at the Metcalf family. And I just wrote real quick, guilty. I saw the foreman look at the Metcalfs. Then I started to say, I think everybody here knows each other in some way, by proximity, whether it's adjacent, directly or indirectly. I just wrote guilty. I didn't need to hear it. I knew in that moment, just based on my instinct and just my years of living. Karmelo Anthony was found guilty of murder. Karmelo was immediately taken into custody. I think the defense asked for a moment, and the judge said, this is different now. Defense to console Karmelo. I wrote, 2 lives were lost, and I feel sick to my stomach. Karmelo was then brought back in after a while, and I didn't see anyone gloating. I looked around. I didn't see anybody gloating. I didn't see the Metcalfs gloating. I didn't see anybody gloating. I didn't see any smirks or any of that. This was a very, very, very heavy, sad thing. Now, let me give you the makeup of the final jurors. Nobody knew the makeup of the final jurors because we didn't know who the alternates were versus who the 12 would be. The final makeup was 8 women and 4 men. 3 white men, 5 white women, 2 Asian women, 1 Indian woman, and the man that I call Grumpy, who looks to be Middle Eastern. I made a note. I put, the foreman is cold-hearted. That's my personal note, okay? That's my personal note. So they come back, there's hours for the punishment phase. And I thought, oh my God, we waited and waited and waited and waited and waited and waited and waited. We didn't get the punishment until like after 6 p.m. Close to 7, I do believe. And they came back, and as most of you know, the punishment verdict was 35 years for Karmelo Anthony. Now, someone pointed out, so there was a lot of crying, lots of crying. Someone pointed out that that's the combination of Karmelo's age and Austin's age.
I'm originally from Shanghai, China, so I particularly cherish the time that I can connect with.
And Austin's age, 35. And Karmelo would have to do half of that before he's eligible for parole, which would be the age that Austin died. I want to know who came up with that formula. Wouldn't that be interesting to know who came up with that formula in the deliberation room? How do we get to 35? They were both 17 at the time, correct? Or close to it, right? I know it's 35, but that's what someone explained in my comments. Now, can I get into my personal opinion? Let me go back to my notes. All right. I want to go back to the foreman of the jury. The reason why I wrote he was cold-hearted, he was one of the ones that I knew. I was like, that's a vote against Karmelo. You can just kind of tell if you do this all the time. But that's not why I wrote he was cold. The reason why I wrote he was cold-hearted is because when Karmelo, the defense called one witness after the verdict was announced, which was Karmelo's mother. It was just the weirdest flow of events. There was no break, no time for people to catch their breath. It was very, very cold-hearted. The steps that they took, it just felt cold-hearted. In most cases, you have a second, they let people catch their breath. They put her on the stand sobbing. So when people are saying, when you're reading the headline, she's begging for his life, Judge Roach didn't even give the lady 90 seconds to compose herself after the verdict. I mean, he's just moving. And I found that from a perspective of a leader, the authority in the courtroom to be a bit cold. It felt personal to me. If you watch different court cases, there is levels of humanity that judges can show if they want. We're not talking about guilty versus not guilty. We're talking about the pace and the cadence and just allowing everyone to take a deep breath. He didn't give her that. So that's why you see what you see in the headlines and she's crying and sobbing. I mean, literally, you're guilty. Call your first witness. And I was like, damn. Wow. Okay. And I wrote that the juror was cold because as she was talking or attempting to talk and what do you call it? Compose herself, the juror did not look at her. The foreman wouldn't look at her. And that's when I said he's cold-hearted. He has to know somebody. This is personal for him because the entire time you've been engaged until she takes the stand. So that leads me to believe, and I have to rely on my psychology background. This may have been personal for him. Maybe he was more engaged in the case than he admitted under oath. Maybe he was more upset about it than he admitted during jury selections because he refused to look at her. Okay? And that's why it's important to have unbiased reporting to give you both sides, even if you don't like it. Now I want to go back to my opinion on the closing arguments. Initially, I thought Karmelo Anthony would be found not guilty or either guilty of manslaughter because the instructions to the jury during jury selections and also when the judge gave the instructions before deliberation is consider the law, consider the law, consider the law. So if you're listening to the law and for the law, the defense did a really good job of explaining the law in their closing statements. The state touched on the law, but they didn't break it down. Give me 1 second, y'all. Give me 1 second. Hold on. Oh. But they didn't break it down. And for me, that exuded a level of confidence that I would have deemed risky, right? If I were a juror. And I felt like they the same way they opened, they closed with a high energy, high intensity, confident. So confident, they didn't really kind of dance around and hang around the law. There was a lot of bravado, but it worked because the verdict was guilty. So that's why I thought, well, if the jurors are listening and if they receive the instruction and if they're listening to both sides about the law, okay, and they don't bring a personal bias into the deliberation room as the judge has instructed, that should generate some really good.
Workflow automation was supposed to eliminate busy work, but decades later, many of the hardest tasks are still manual. Rules-based systems can move structured data through set paths, but real content rarely arrives in a perfectly structured format.
Traditional automation was never built for how work actually.
That should generate some really good dialogue. When we think of it, so that was my opinion on the closing statements. Let's go back to the makeup of the final jury selection. 8 women, 4 men, 5 white women, 3 white men, 2 Asian women, 1 Indian lady, 1 what I perceive to be maybe Middle Eastern man. And then when I start to look at the psychology of why would you select 2 Asian women, 2 Indian women, it's their culture to be submissive. That was brilliant. brilliant play on the behalf of the state. Why? Because it looks to be fair. But then you have to get into the cultural dynamics and the cultural practices. And that's why people come over here and listen to my commentary, because we break it down from all angles. And you look at the cultural dynamics, it's brilliant. Hey, they can't say it's an all-white jury. We have two Asian women, one Indian lady, one perceived to be Middle Eastern man. Now, I will tell you, initially there were two Indian women, but one of them, her skin tone was really, really dark, like my skin. They got rid of the darker Indian woman, and they kept the older, lighter Indian woman, the one that will wear the hijab, the covering on the head. I hope I'm saying it correctly. But if you think of the cultural dynamics, those women tend to be extremely submissive, and they're going to probably more likely follow the lead of the men in the room. And when you have three white men and one Middle Eastern man, it's a brilliant selection, because you can silence the noise of the public backlash, the outrage, and say it's all white. You can say, no, it's not. I have two Asians, 3 Indians, 2, that's 5. No, 8, yeah. So, but it's the underbelly of it, the deeper understanding. See, these aren't dummies that are prosecutors. They're not dumb. They understand the cultural traditions. And unfortunately, in this case, the prosecution in the state outsmarted the defense, because you have to take everything into consideration. The optics, the perceived pushback on perceived biases. So if I put the right people in the right seats, these people, hijab, thank you. The right people, those people can't say it's all white, because it wasn't an all-white jury. So I wanted to, I'm just giving y'all the technical underplay of strategy, even when it's bias. That's why you have to sit back and understand that it's a game of chess and not checkers. And you can never allow your opponent to outthink you. The defense was playing checkers. The state played chess. I don't know what the hell the defense was thinking. I don't. There were times I was like, did you come to defend? Or did you get paid? That's my personal opinion. Are you compromised? What are you doing? How come you didn't object to that? How come you didn't say, wait a minute, you said that you asked Karmelo to leave. How come you didn't let him leave? Where are you gonna go? There was 4 boys surrounding him. One boy testified that Karmelo so let me start all over. The defense, in my opinion, should have honed in on the Metcalf's boys and the other boys under the tent refusal to back down. They allowed Karmelo Anthony to be responsible for the actions of those other individuals under the tent. This is my personal opinion. How is it that Karmelo is responsible for Austin? The state kept saying, when they were directing their questions at the witness on direct, so he invited Austin to hit him, correct? Yes, sir. He said, hit me, touch me, right? Yes, sir. How come the defense didn't attack that? How come the defense didn't attack the fact that the Metcalfs did not stand down? They stood over him. And even though people are saying, well, we told him to leave, you didn't let him leave. You didn't let him leave, because if I'm seated, and I just, for the life of me, I'm like, how come you didn't walk that thing like a dog? He can't go. You got somebody behind him, you and your brother in front of him, and you got another one on the side of him. Leave and go where? Because you're already over. We know it's on and popping. It's still, as soon as he stands up, I would have tore that up as a defense, but I'm not a defense. So that threw me for a loop, right? Because if you're not the aggressor and you want someone to leave, should you not make way for them to leave? Is there a reason Austin didn't stand down? He couldn't leave. Number one, we're going to get into the facts that were not presented. It was going to be a fight, one way or the other. Let's talk about that before we get to having to use a knife to defend himself. It was going to be a fight, one way or the other.
Introducing the Spectracide Wasp, Hornet, and Yellow Jacket Trap. With a lure that's impossible to resist. It's your refillable 24/7, 360-degree backyard defender. Spectracide. You hold the power.
We started using Finn Voice as soon as we learned about it. That really has turned our phone operation into a 24/7 availability for our customers.
The other. One person testified that Austin hit Karmelo so hard, knocked him up out his seat. That is a fact. He did. Because I did speak with someone off the record. Now, initially, when you all said, Queen Sheba, talk about the facts in the case, is it a fact that they jumped him in the tent? And I said, no, it has not been presented in the court yet, right? That's how we're going into the courtroom. But the defense presented it in his closing argument. And I'm like, how come you didn't really get into this? And I want to talk about something else. Karmelo did not say, touch me and see what happens. That is what the state told us that Karmelo said, and that's why I'm torn about, damn, if he was going to get 35 years, he probably should have testified. They said his account of everything that has happened to him has never changed. He did not say, listen to me, write it down. He did not say, touch me and see what happens. What he said is, as long as you don't put your hands on me, we're good. The state presented it as touch me and see what happens. He continued to say, as long as you don't put your hands on me, we good. That's what happened. Those are the words he said when Austin said, I'm gonna beat your bitch ass. As long as you don't put your hands on me, we good. Austin Metcalf punched first Karmelo Anthony in his shoulder. Why is that important? It was not presented by the defense. I have no idea what the hell the defense was doing. He punched him in the shoulder hard first. Why is this important? That shoulder. Did you hear him say, was it a light? Have y'all followed the questions? Was it a light hit on the shoulder? You know why they're asking? Was it life, a gentle shove? Because that was his injured shoulder. Karmelo Anthony couldn't finish playing football because he injured his shoulder. And up to one point, he had to wear it in a sling. How come the defense didn't present that? I have no idea, you guys, but that's a fact. They didn't present it, number one. So when the first blow was to that injured shoulder, I'm just giving you, take what you need and discard the rest. Number two, February 14, 2024, Karmelo Anthony suffered a severe seizure. He has epilepsy. And he hit his head so hard he had to be hospitalized. Where are we going with this? He was scared to death in that tent. He was scared of standing up. He was scared they were going to knock him out and do that. He was scared of having a seizure. And then he got punched in the shoulder first. And let me tell you, the second blow was a linebacker blow. Austin whacked the crap out of him, knocked him up out of his seat. That was the violent blow where you could see his body move in that surveillance camera. When Austin Metcalf was stabbed, he had Karmelo Anthony in a headlock, in a chokehold. And that's the part the defense did not present. I have no idea why. Karmelo Anthony was in a chokehold, and if you go back and look at the original arrest photos, you can see the welts and the abrasions on his neck from being in a chokehold. And when the medical examiner testified to the upward tilt of the knife, that's how he was stabbed, upwardly, when he was in that chokehold. One student testified, the last one, I can't say his name, the last one that took the stand on the behalf of the, oh no, I take that back. He took the stand, the defense called him as a witness. He didn't want to be there. You can look at the transcripts. the one that did not want to be there, that dodged the calls, he and his parents, he testified he tried to stop Austin Metcalf, but Austin was so strong he knocked him back. So I'm going to give you the facts. The facts of the matter, it was not as simple as, hey, can you leave? Touch me and see what happens. It was a fight under that tent. And it was not presented in the courtroom. I don't know why the defense did not pull out those details. I have no idea. I have no idea why they would not say that. I mean, you said all they did was lie. I mean, the state said that. The state said that the testimonies were inconsistent. The state's witnesses were inconsistent. Yes, that's lying. That's omitting the truth. Well, here's the thing that they did a really good job. I'm prepping the kids.
When I wake up in Lost Place, I need the power of Old Spice. First place smells good.
Come on.
Yeah.
Taco Giant or Zaxby's Giant Wraps?
So Giant, they need their own zip code. Who's got the sauce?
Because when the kids didn't want to paint Austin Metcalf in a negative light, they would say, I don't recall, I don't remember, in order to not commit perjury under oath. That was not a, hey, this guy's over here starting trouble. We asked him to leave, touch me and see what happens. I want to say something. 2 lives were lost. 1 life is lost. Austin Metcalf lost his life that day. Karmelo has lost his life to the system. Parents, have a talk with your kids. Talk to your kids. I kept thinking about, before I got, see, every day I would give you what was happening that day, not my opinion. Because in order for me to formulate an opinion, I need everything. And then we got to fill in. They're going to get, each side's going to give you what they want you to have. Then you got to fill in the gaps. That's just the way it is. And the first day of the trial, when the official testimony began, the state testified that Austin was asked to step up by Coach Starr and be a leader. And that's the reason he was insistent on getting Karmelo out that tent. You failed him, Coach Starr. You failed him, Jeff Metcalf. Let me tell you why. Coach Starr, you are equally to blame because he's still a kid. You don't ask a kid to step up and hold it down with little to no instructions, because he stepped up and he held it down and he lost his life. You were negligent in your instructions. And I said what the fuck I said. You were negligent. And if I were the parents, I would sue the pants off of you. You put him in a position to be aggressive. Let's talk about it. Because what I'm told is you're aggressive. Off record, your co-workers have contacted me. So this is now I get to talk about what I know and what I get to hold on to. And I'm being told, allegedly, that you were fired from Irving ISD for putting your hands on another student and your parents. So you're a very aggressive man. From what I witnessed in the courtroom, your vein was bulging out of your neck. I could sense the rage and the anger, but you're projecting. Because if you're going to be mad at anybody, you be mad at yourself. Jeff Metcalf, you have a history of putting your hands on your ex-wife. You have a record that's sealed of you doing things that you should not have done. You're a very physical man, according to your background, allegedly. Austin mimicked the leadership of his father and his coach. His coach is a linebacker coach. That's a lot of physicality. When you grow up seeing your father hit to get his way, Oh, wait a minute, because I'm going to piss some of you off. Your kids do as you do, not as you say. So if you, the way you run your house, you like to whoop a little ass every now and then to keep everybody in line, don't be shocked when your kids step out in public and decide to, I'm going to just whoop a little ass to get what I want. That's what Dad does. That's what Coach Star does. I'm going to whoop a little ass. I'm going to beat your bitch ass. You going to get up out of here. They do as you do, not as you say. You failed your sons by teaching them how to whoop ass and not how to assess their strength and properly use it and self-regulate. You failed your sons when they allegedly witnessed you whooping a little ass when it comes to your ex-wife. And as a result, they in turn had to whoop a little ass to get you up off their mother. You said that Austin dislocated, allegedly, your rotator cuff. You see what I'm saying? Violence beget violence.
Mm-hmm.
So they see you whoop ass, they whoop ass, and they whooped your ass. Which would lead me to believe a little ass whooping was normal for the boys. Them whooping ass is just normal. That's what they do, according to your history. And the men around them, the Metcalf boys were surrounded by their father and a coach that believe in ass whooping. So the leadership that Austin Metcalf, in my opinion, that day demonstrated was that of his father and that of his coach. In my opinion. That's why he didn't go get another coach. He's just mimicking what he's seen all these years, period. You failed your son. You didn't teach your son how to regulate his strength, his emotion. Neither one of them. You didn't teach them, hey, listen, when you're stronger, bigger, badder, tougher, some kids may fear you. See, my grandmother always told me, a scary person will kill you. My grandmother used to always say that. A person who's afraid of you will kill you. Because they're scared. You have to teach your kids when you're strong and you're mighty and you're big. That's good for sport. But that can be very intimidating if used in the wrong way. So sometimes you're going to have to take that L and go get a teacher, a coach, because you will be perceived as the aggressor. Just based on your physical appearance, your temper. But see, a lot of you don't parent anymore. You don't parent anymore. You're scared of your kids. You don't sit them down and talk to them. You don't tell them, hold on, keep your damn hands to yourself. I talk to mine. I say, you can't whoop everybody. I don't care how big and bad you think you are. You can't whoop everybody. You're not gonna win every fight. If you gotta leave, leave. You gotta walk away, walk away. It was not just a responsibility, in my opinion, of Karmelo Anthony to walk away and stand down that day. It was the responsibility of Austin and Hunter and the other linebackers to stand. It was the responsibility of Austin and Hunter and the other linebackers to stand down. He didn't hit anybody. He didn't touch anybody. According to y'all, it stopped raining. You just didn't want them there. After y'all start shit talking about a football, they were going back and forth too about football. That's another thing. I don't know why the defense didn't introduce in the record. They were arguing about football. Carmelo told them they suck. Y'all suck ass. You bad. You all of that. Then it escalated. Teach your kids about having a Judas at the table. In my opinion, Eddie was a Judas.
Yep.
Eddie could have de-escalated. And like Judas, he did not know, like Peter. I take that back. Eddie was not a Judas. He was a Peter. Like Peter denied Christ thrice, Eddie denied Karmelo under that tent. Denied knowing him. Didn't step in. Egged it on. Instigated it. Whipped out the phone to record it. Only to deny having a video. It's alleged that you did videotape it. And you deleted it. Allegedly. And I'm saying allegedly because I wasn't there and it's my opinion. You instigated them to fight. And you denied Karmelo like Peter denied Jesus. When asked on the stand, how come you didn't step up and say, I know him, he's here, I called him. You said, I didn't feel like I needed to. Oh, Eddie. Eddie. You too hold a responsibility for what happened. There was one kid that told the truth. And to the parents of that kid, I want to tell you, you did a good job. And for what he wasn't comfortable telling, he said, I don't recall. Why would those kids say, I don't recall? Why would those kids lie? I'll tell you why. Most of them were 15 at the time. They're 16 now. They still have 2 more years in that county, 2 more years left at that school. I call that a rock and a hard place. 15 when it happened, scheduled to graduate with class of 2028. That's caught between a rock and a hard place. Who wants to be ostracized? Who wants to be roughed up? Who wants to be looked at as the bad guy? I still got to do 2 more years here. I don't recall. But to the kid that did the best he can and the best that he could, it was his first year. It was his first track meet. He played soccer. That testified under oath. Not only did Eddie know Karmelo, Eddie asked him to switch seats with him so he can sit next to Karmelo. And Karmelo was the one that told him, do you mind if I sit here? Crazy weather, huh? Thank you. Thank you for telling the truth. Hunter Metcalf. After the incident, you did a news interview. I believe you did two interviews. You led the charge. You said that. And you said your brother steps in like he always does and runs to your defense whether you are right or whether you are wrong. You were wrong that day. You testified that your brother ripped Karmelo's bag out of his hand. And you didn't show up to court to testify. The defense, I would have subpoenaed him. I would have. I have no idea why the defense acted like gummy worms in the courtroom. I kept saying, are you gonna play ball? What we doing? For anybody that thinks your kid can whack the fuck out of somebody and knock them out of their seat or punch them in the shoulder and whoop on them, and that other kid has to sit there and be okay with it, you're failing your kids because you can't whoop everybody. And I think it's disgusting that both families' lives will forever be changed because parents aren't parenting anymore. I still don't know why Karmelo had a knife in his bag.
At DeVry, our #1 goal is helping you achieve yours. Whether you're looking to move into management or move on to something new, DeVry helps turn your passion into possibility. You work toward your goals. DeVry works for you.
I'm Rachel Zoe, SC's Chief Color Director. Color is not just a suggestion, it's a jurisdiction. I've spent my entire career as a stylist working to get color exactly right, down to the final touch, the nails. These SC shades in here, they've earned their reputation. Come follow me. Most pinks, they try extremely hard to seem fun. It's exhausting. Mademoiselle, it's the perfect pink. It's the classic, forever, sheer shade of pink. Mademoiselle sips her cappuccino and has conversation. She has that elusive French girl energy. Red is about taste, about strength, about power. It ignites those unforgettable conversations. The forever yummy woman always accepts the invitation, and then she jumps in a car.
I still don't know why Karmelo had a knife in his bag. I don't. The defense didn't offer any explanation, and I understand the law where they're saying he doesn't have to, defend himself. That's on the state burden of proof. But why would you allow that train to run away and talk about this narrative and you don't jump in and defend it as a defense? Why would you kick back and relax like you're on vacation on a 7-day cruise in Mexico and sit at that table like you're drinking pina coladas and Mai Tais? That didn't make any sense to me. You should have put him on the stand. If it came down to 35 years, fuck it. He can't mess it up. They gonna give it to him anyway. He may as well get up and defend himself.
Might as well.
That's my opinion. That's my opinion. You said, so he didn't have a public defender. Let me tell you what, that's a myth. Initially, that day when Karmelo Anthony was taken into custody, you have to elect a public defender, right? When he was at the track meet, when they took him into custody and you take him into jail, he filled that out for a public defender, y'all. So that's what y'all are seeing, but he did not have a public defender. They're showing you an old record. When you go to jail, would you like a public defender to be assigned? Yes. Toby Shook is not a public defender. He's a former prosecutor. He's the one that defended Amber, what's Amber's last name? The white girl that shot the black guy in Dallas. She went into the wrong apartment. His name was Botham John, and she shot him. He was her defense attorney. These are not public defenders. That's where a bulk of that GoFundMe money went, okay? You got to do your homework. This is easy stuff. You look it up. Is Mike Howard a public defender? No, he's not. He's a law professor. But anywho, is Toby Shook a public defender? These are easy things that you can clear up yourself. No, it was a knife. It was a 3.5-inch knife. You said, is it true that it wasn't just a knife? It was some type of pocket tool that had other stuff on it. No, it was a knife. They didn't show the knife in court. They showed a different knife, and the knife was shown by the state. It wasn't the knife used at the crime scene, but he had a 3.5-inch knife. Now, Mike Howard, I don't know where you also messed it up because you gave the impression during jury selections that Karmelo, I wonder if you got paid. Have you ever watched Scandal? Why would you say it's legal for a teen to carry a 5.5-inch knife? And everybody ran, including myself, with the phenomenon that Karmelo Anthony had this 5.5-inch knife in his bag when it was really 3.5 inches. And then you just barely touched on that. Keep saying, what are you doing? Because every day you get new details, you get new facts. But I take such good notes. I'm like, well, why would you introduce 5.5 when it's really 3? Who sent you?
Yeah, who sent you?
Who sent you? Ass off. Now, he did open up. He said, now, I want you to keep in mind during opening statements that most of these kids testifying are going to be testifying on the behalf of Austin Metcalf because Karmelo was under the memorial tent. Karmelo was new, y'all, to this school. He didn't have a lot of relationships yet. I do believe he came or transferred as a sophomore. So there's not a lot of people that can speak to or on his behalf. But I wouldn't care, Mike Howard. That's your job to ensure that your client has a fair trial. How come you didn't go searching high and low? Even if you have to fly him in from New Orleans or Baton Rouge or put him on a plane, how come you did the bare minimum? How come his mother was
Talk
his
about
only
it.
witness? How come you didn't fight hard?
I
Judge
don't
Root
feel he
is
got
retiring.
paid.
He's done. How come you didn't say, Your Honor, I need a moment? How come you
I
phoned
got a
me?
feeling he got paid.
How come you didn't erect your spine and stand on business? They didn't call anybody as a character witness. They did not.
Some words they don't like to say. There are some words that'll always be lost.
They did not. Now, let's go to, thank you. Queen Brio said, did Mike Howard preserve the record for appeal? I would have to see the motion. I haven't looked at the motion, to be honest with you. Potentially criminal, thank you. A reasonable person would foresee that stabbing someone in the chest with a knife would lead to a serious injury, and his intent can be inferred. Let me ask you, we had a prosecutor that came, we had a live call in, and I think you stated that you were a prosecutor in Dallas. I believe that's what she said. And she talked about proportionality and somewhat the same line of thought as potentially criminal. And she said, listen, Karmelo Anthony committed murder. You know, you can't just stab someone because they're bigger than you. To which my question was, or because they hit you. And I said, if I'm a lady, if a man punches me in the shoulder or face, can I use a knife? She said, yes, you can. I said, why? She said, because he's bigger than you, stronger. And I said, so is this gender specific? Is it does this law apply in the case of Karmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf? Or does it just apply if a man is beating the crap out of a woman? If a woman can pull a knife to get a man get a man off of her, can I'm just asking, can a smaller man, boy, who's 130 pounds, use force to get a bigger boy off of him? Y'all talk about it in the chat. What are your thoughts? What does the law say? King Mikey said, is it true that Jeff Metcalf called him a watermelon felon in a recent interview? I have no idea. It's been so, I had to decompress. I have no idea.
He did.
Mecca 1986, thank you for the $10 super sticker. You said, Queen, I'm friends with attorney Mike Campbell, who is now working on this appeal with Karmelo Anthony. His lawyer needs to be reported. He sat on evidence that could have helped Karmelo tremendously and didn't use. What evidence? I heard there is, let me tell you what I know. I know that the officer that went through Eddie's phone testified under oath he doesn't recall if there's a video of the altercation. Now, that doesn't mean there's not one. But I would like to point your attention that he did not want to perjure himself on the witness stand, because either it's one or it's not one. And typically, if there's not one and you know there's not one, you're going to say, no, it's not a video. I went through the phone. But if I don't recall, I just want to make sure I'm not lying as an officer of the law. Carolina's first. Let's see, here we go. Was the foreman the same guy that stated he was a U.S. Army veteran active member when they were picking? I have no idea. I think that guy, let me see. Hold on. I got my notes. Let me see. I think he was, let me get my notes. So you're talking about the guy that said, I can follow instructions very well. I've served my country. My job is to protect the Constitution of this. I know who you're talking about. Give me 1 second. I'm going to look for that. I still have that note. No, that was your number 50. What he said is, that was your number 50. Let me see. He said, I understand the law and I'm able to make decision. The law calls for me to make decisions based on evidence. I'm a 20-year combat vet. I was a 20-year combat vet, and I took an oath to protect the Constitution of the United States of America. And I took one oath in my life and one vow. When he said that, everybody started laughing because obviously he's talking about his nagging wife, right? And they asked him, oh yeah, that was juror number 50. Now let me go and see if juror number 50 was selected. I'll be able to tell you. Give me a couple of seconds. Hold on, y'all. So when we go to jury selections, hold on. Was juror number 50 selected? I'm trying to hurry. No. Juror number 50 was not selected. Here are the jury selections. Number 5, number 11, 17. Write it down. I'll go slow. So if they ever come out to speak, you'll know. Number 5, number 11, number 17, number 18, number 21, number 24. Number 28, 38, 49, 53, 58, 66, number 69, 71, 75, 78, 79, 80.
I won't be cleaning mold and mildew next week, thanks to this. Did you know Lysol disinfectant spray can actually prevent mold and mildew growth? Spray it every week to break the cycle. Lysol, what it takes to
1, 75, 78, 79, 80. There was something special about juror number 24. Let me tell you. I have a note about juror number 24. Juror number 24, I circled their number. Why did I circle their number? Let me find it. Typically, when I circle a number, that means there's a different reference to them in my earlier notes. I may have to come back to it. Juror number 24, oh my God, is a white woman. I don't know which one. I got it. We couldn't see her, but during the jury selection, she said, I couldn't dare do it. I could not dare send him to jail. He made a mistake. I couldn't charge a kid. It would be hard for me to make a decision. Lord have mercy. That's what juror number 24 said. Okay, so I think, so there was, there you go. That's all you got. All right, let's go to the other questions. We got this one. Lulu. Thank you for the $10. This case has opened my eyes to the way the world sees us, not just how it was handled in the courtroom, but all the hate that has been said. Oh my God, absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Was it an all-white jury? No, it was not an all-white jury. No Hispanics. So it was, I gave you the makeup. Can somebody type the ratio in the chat? Because it was 8 women, 4 men. 5 white women, 3 white men, 2 Asian women, 1 Indian woman, 1, I believe to be darker hued man. I'm going to say Middle Eastern, Jewish, not Jewish, Turkish. I don't know the exact race. Mellow Life, thank you for the $20 super stick. You said, why was the judge allowed to preside? He knew the family on a personal level. Let me clear up something. Those photographs that y'all are seeing going around is not the judge that worked this case. If you're talking about the photograph, that is not that judge. I want to clear that up. Thank you. That girl Bree says, Queen, your commentary and account from this trial was 8-1. Thank you for your hard work and dedication to bring us the facts. You know what? When I go to the next trial, I'm going to have to get something from my wrist for writing. If y'all have any idea what I can use, please send it to me. I gotta get something. Do you think Karmelo Anthony will get justice? No, I do not. I think they flopped. I can't really say Toby flopped. I'm not going to blame Toby Shook. Mike Howard led the defense team. So Toby has to fall in line. Toby did what he could do. Forever Evolving Me, thank you for the $10. You said, did Eddie call him to the tent? That's what the witness testified. That's what one of Austin's friends testified under oath. A kid that attended Memorial High School who was under the tent that day. That was the witness that did not want to be there. I'm hearing Eddie's the cause of this. Yep. Uno, 1728, thank you. You said thank you for covering this case. Texas is not really a good place for black people. Wait a minute, man. I'm Texan. Well, I was born. This is Corey. There's some beautiful places in Texas. These small counties, you just gotta, This is Corey. Thank you for the $10. She said, excellent commentary, Queen Sheba. I pray they are appealing and demanding a change of venue. Thank you. This is disgusting and absolutely heartbreaking. Prayers to Karmelo. The defense failed him. Did you show up? Did you want to be there? Did you know you were going to trial today? Prom King of Neo So, thank you for the $5. Thank you for telling the truth always. Thank you, BMBR Music, for the $2 super chat. All right, Karma Girl, we appreciate you. BMBR says Asians and Arabs identify racially as white. Well, they look Asian and Arab to me. But I got you. Christine Smith, thank you for the $5 super. We appreciate you telling the truth always. Sassy Libra, Queen, you can tell in Metcalf voice he's aggressive and a woman beater. The father speak to Karmelo like he was an adult. Shameful. Call me darling, 500. Thank you for not being biased and giving it to us raw. We are just asking for fairness. I'm glad you were safe. Thank you. I told you I'm going to give you both sides. I'll give you both sides throughout the trial, and then at the end I'll give my opinion. Is it true they gave scholarships to the witnesses? I'm not sure. I left towards the end. It was just a long day. After almost 20 hours of being there, I had to go, y'all. I felt lightheaded.
Escape the indoors with Cutter Backyard Bug Solutions. With a range of effective products for your backyard, trust Cutter brand, a leader in mosquito protection for 25 years. Cutter, protect your people. Shop now.
Been halfway across the continent looking for you. Hard woman to track down.
Y'all, I felt lightheaded. I hadn't eaten. Well, I had my little kale salad delivered, but I was lightheaded, and I was so scared I was going to pass out. I don't know if they gave scholarships to the witnesses. I'm not sure. I can't confirm or deny. Super 3701. Queen, is it true that Austin attacked or fought his father? Yep. Let me say allegedly. Allegedly. Because I wasn't in the house. I do know they have multiple calls of violence, domestic violence, where the minors in the house, in the home, are the offenders. But because they were juveniles, their records are sealed. But they've had multiple calls to their home, where the juveniles were the offenders. Okay? Let's see what else y'all have. You said those kids who lied should be ashamed of themselves as well as their parents. Karmelo was mistreated, period, all the way around. His life has changed forever. Eddie?
I'm gonna go ahead and cut this off here. I pray and hope that y'all enjoy this. And this is my last live stream on anything related to this case. See y'all later. Peace.